souls running in color, color, color. Kick the lies that they wonder, wonder, wonder. Break the pressure that I'm under, under, under. Straight stunning in color, color, color.
Welcome to The Color Within, a podcast by Subi people that explores the brilliant, colorful assets that people bring to the world and the environments they spend the most time in, including the workplace, community neighborhoods, and more, all while navigating a world with color codes. I'm Lydia, your host, and join us in this episode where we talk with Jherlene, who is a lover of music and works at a hospital system. We'll explore the color she holds within and her journey working as a Latina at the hospital. Join us.
All right. Hi, Jherlene. Welcome. Thank you so
Hi,
much
Lydia.
for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's exciting. So, Jherlene, please tell us where you're from and tell us more about your ethnic heritage.
Ooh, well, it's a lot. I am American by birth, so I was born in Bering Springs, Michigan, but I grew up in Panama. So my parents were
Nice.
studying in Michigan, and then they had me. Then they returned to Panama, and I'm talking about the Republic of Panama, not Panama, Florida. Just FYI, because I got to make that disclaimer.
Okay.
Um, and so yes, I am Hispanic, and in Panama it's very multicultural, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself one specific ethnicity because we're very diverse. So in
Mm-hmm.
my mom's side of the family there is Spanish, there is I think there is Irish, there is Black, there
Mm-hmm.
is Native Panamanian on my mom's side. On my dad's side it's really big. There's we're Black, we're um my dad has Indian in his blood, he has Spanish in his blood, so it's very very mixed. But that was just how the diaspora of Hispanics, because we're all very mixed, so we look like everybody all over the world, so which is a good thing. But
Amazing.
yeah, so that's a little bit of my background. You would say I consider myself um somewhat Afro Latina. I
Mm-hmm.
not entirely, in the sense, because there's so much in me that I can't say it's one thing, but I identify a lot with that side of the family. So I would consider myself that.
Very awesome. That's great. And if you could pick one color, the color of your soul, what would that color be?
Okay. I would say like a burnt orange. Not
Hmm.
I don't, and I don't want to use the word burnt is, I don't want to take it lightly. But my one of my favorite colors is, or it's sorry, it's yellow. I love yellow. Since I was a
Mm.
kid, I've always loved yellow. But one of the things with yellow is that I feel that the older I got, the more experience I got. A, I got burnt along the way,
Mhm.
and I started becoming a little bit more red, but I'm not entirely red. I don't think red is a bad color. I just think
Mhm.
that red, in for me, is very passionate, very there's a lot of anger, but I don't want to go too much on the red side, so I would consider myself like a burnt orange.
I like that. I like that analogy. And what positive qualities do people say that you have?
Oh goodness. um well, they say that I'm very passionate,
Mhm.
and some people take it like they take it well, some don't, because some people would say that I am passionate because I would sometimes get upset really quickly for something, but it's just because I care about a lot of things, and I care a lot, and sometimes I think that
Yeah.
can be, you know clouded over. That's why I don't want to call myself too red, because it can go all the
Mhm.
way into anger. But I am very passionate. I care a lot about things, about people. I'm very, I wouldn't say territorial, but I like take care of my friends. I want to take care of my friends, protect them, defend them if necessary.
Mhm.
So what else? Um, I mean, I thought about this question, but it's very difficult to answer. You can ask someone else. I don't know. No, just kidding. Um, I what else? I am very. Hmm. I am very intellectual in a sense. Like I like reading a lot, and I would know a lot about several subjects. I don't just know only about one thing. Um, and I'm very caring. I think I probably mentioned that already, but I
Mhm.
am, and I do consider myself that I am caring, and not only for the people that are part of my circle, but people that I don't know as well. I would consider myself that I'm caring.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And can you tell me more about what you're passionate about?
Wow. Okay. I am really passionate about helping other people. And I think that that has been one of the things that has driven me to go where I am.
Mhm.
And I am very passionate about helping people, and not only in the medical sense because of my degree, but also because I just feel I have this tendency of feeling what people feel. And you could call it empathy, but I just think it's more than just that, because I
Mm.
can always sense something about someone, which is a good thing, because you I can totally tell when somebody's lying to me. And sometimes it's sad because I can tell, and it's just like, wow, you're lying to me in my face, and I know. um, but I think that that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about, is helping others. I You would think that I am not like this, but I have always been pretty shy. I don't show that just because I am comfortable with the group of people that I am. And but I used to be very, very shy, very shy. So how could I help other people when I'm being so shy? So I actually had to really put myself out there, which was hard. But then when I did, I was like, what do I have to lose? So I think
Mm.
another thing that I am very passionate about is confidence, because sometimes we don't. I was I did not feel myself as confident. I always thought my mom, my sister, my aunts, they were all very confident, but I felt like I wasn't. And I just want to
Mhm.
help other people to feel confident as well. I'm not talking about body positivity or anything like that, but just in person, just inside. Because
Mhm.
once you're confident inside, everything else is going to be fine.
Mm.
So I am very passionate about being confident, having your voice being heard, and having your voice being heard in a polite way without having to cause destruction, physically,
Mm.
emotionally, mentally. So I think that those are things that I am very passionate about. Just a couple of the things, because there might be more, but we would be talking for hours.
Well, that's amazing, Jherlene. And can you tell me more about your job and what people pay you to do?
Well, I am paid to be a Spanish medical interpreter, and I speak with patients and providers that do not speak the language, so only for Spanish.
Mhm.
And I bridge that gap between provider and patient. Also, um, we interpret culture, so it sounds a little bit strange, but
Hmm. Okay.
culture is very much it's um it's very intertwined with your language.
Right.
So and I know that you understand that very well. Some
Yeah.
people don't, and it's okay to not understand, as long as you're open to learn. And I That's what I do as well. I teach about that. I tell people,
Mm.
when an old lady comes to you and she wants to hug you, do not be offended, because if you tell her to like walk away from you, or like you put a
Mhm.
face, she will be really offended, and believe me, she will make sure that people know that she is.
Mm.
So you have to, you know understand the culture very well. So that's what I do as well. And I get paid for that, and I like it. I like it very much.
Mhm.
With this pandemic, I realized that there's so much more to to that than just saying words back and forth. You really have to feel it.
Right. Right.
Um, so it is difficult because sometimes you just don't want to get too involved to the point where now you're the one getting hurt because you felt what this person was feeling. And people are passing away, dying, you're talking about death every day.
Mhm.
It's You don't
Mhm.
want that to get to you, so you got to have a balance, and that's where my belief in God comes in. Because if I didn't
Mhm.
have that, I'm telling you, I'd probably go crazy already. but
Yeah.
um but yeah, so that's what I get paid to do.
That's awesome. And I can't imagine all the changes that have been happening since COVID-19. How has your job changed, since the new introduction of this virus? I know you mentioned that you're talking a lot about death, but just your role and how you interact with patients, like how has that changed?
Well, I am not able to be with patients in person. So what you see right now is basically what I would be doing with my patients online.
Mm,
I do go to the hospital because just in case, right? There at least has
mhm,
to be one interpreter going in. And I go to the hospital every day, and I it's difficult because I was always the kind of person that would see the patient in the hallway, we'll talk, we'll say hello. I will talk to the provider who's just passing by, then the person from the kitchen, then the family member from this other patient that I also know, and then this other person, and some higher up in the hospital. Hey, hello, how's it going?
mhm,
Um, I wouldn't say myself like I know everybody, but I kind of, because I work in all the departments, so I would run from one place to the other, from one department to the other every day. And first of all, I was fit, and second, I really loved it because I was learning so much and how the hospital worked.
mhm.
I really enjoyed it, but now I don't get to do that. Now I do get to see different departments. That hasn't changed, but I don't do that in person, which hurts a lot because I like that one-on-one interaction with people and with a small group of people. I would also participate in classes, teach classes. Now
Mm,
classes are not happening,
mhm.
so that's another thing that it's really sad for me. Projects that I would participate on, with the people in the hospital, will teach teenagers, will do career coaching. I would wear
Wow.
different hats, and those things, haven't done none of those things this year, which has been
Mm,
really difficult because I really like it. I didn't think
mhm.
I would like teaching, but apparently I do. So yeah, I haven't been able to be in front of a class in a while. Now, with patients in person, in the video,
Mhm.
um, you really have to be more careful with what you're saying and how you're saying it, because it could be
Yeah.
interpreted the wrong way. Now,
Mm,
in person, people can read your body language. They can tell your
right.
tone. They see how you're reacting.
Mhm.
You It's easier for you to also read their tone, their reaction from the provider, the patient. So
Right.
everything passes through you, and it's weird
Mhm.
because sometimes some things stay, and it's hard because I've had to have a couple therapy sessions to let those things go because it has been hard.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but with video, it feels a little bit impersonal because you're not
Yeah.
there in person.
Mhm. Mhm.
But also, I have been able to participate in helping COVID patients through video. So at least I'm not in the room, but I'm able to help them and
Yeah.
make sure that they understand the medications that they're taking, and why they're taking them, and what you know understanding, helping them understand why they can't see their families, why these policies are this way. And
Mhm.
I think that um, that is a blessing, because imagine if there's no interpreter coming into your room, and how are you going to communicate with the provider, with the nurse, with anybody that's coming in? So
Yeah.
that's where I'm saying thank God for video.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Wow, that's amazing. And, Jherlene, if you could just tell me whether it's in this job that you're working in now or a previous job, have you ever experienced somebody really seeing you and seeing all the gifts that you bring and really championing you and helping you grow?
Well, in my just in the work environment, because I do have other people championing me, but in the work environment, I would say my supervisor,
Hmm.
she is incredible. She
Hmm.
has been on top
Great.
of everything. She's been supporting me. I don't know
Hmm.
what I would do without her. And I think that she says the same thing about me, but I think she helps me more than I do help her. Um, and because I feel like when I help her is my job, but when she helps me, it's not her job. So I think that she's really going out of her way to support me and to advise me. There's this other lady who used to work at the hospital that I work at. She's a counselor, therapist. I really don't know exactly her title, social worker. She
Hmm.
wears many hats as well. She did wear many hats. And also, she was a giant champion for me. So thankfully, I have her card. And hopefully, when I am able to do, you know, advance in my career, I hope I can get give her a call or send her an email and let her know that I did it, because she has been an incredible support as well.
That's amazing. I know it makes such a huge difference when you have, especially a supervisor who's just on your side helping you grow. I mean, I know for me that's made such a huge difference. So that's really great. You mentioned also, and you mentioned getting some therapy sessions, which I believe in therapy. I think it's so, so great for us as human beings. Um, and I know like different cultures have different views about therapy, going to therapy. With your background as an Afro Latina, and just embracing therapy, can you just tell me a little bit more about that and that journey?
I do have some experience with psychiatric patients and individuals that needed psychotherapy. I have worked in several hospitals where we would have conversations about it, both in Panama and here.
Mm-hmm.
But and I even consider myself becoming a psychiatrist at some point. Um, but I myself had stigma for it. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it because that's another thing about myself. I don't sugarcoat anything. And I say yes, I was probably stigmatizing people for it. Other patients and even family members. I'm like, well, you need to put yourself together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the first one to say that, and I'm probably the first one to admit that you really need it because I needed it at some point in
Mm-hmm.
my life.
Yeah.
It's very there's a cloud of judgment over people in the Latino community when you are seeking psychotherapy or you're seeking some sort of therapy of any kind, because it doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
have to be psychological therapy. It could be not physical therapy or occupational therapy, but I'm talking about maybe like language therapy um and marriage counseling and things like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
because they think like, oh, you can't get yourself together or something's wrong with you. So people don't want to be judged, so usually they sweep those things under the rug. And then what ends up happening is that you have an adult that have so much issues that is damaging their own life, but also not only their own life, but the people around them. So,
Right.
what would have happened if this person had received any help from the beginning? It would be a
Mm-hmm.
completely different story. So, I think that there's so much judgment and stigma in the Latino community about um, therapy and psychotherapy and needing an eval from a psychiatrist or just a counselor, even just counseling
Mm-hmm.
in general. There is
Yeah.
so much stigma about it, that people don't seek help. And I am very passionate about that, and I'm because at some point I did need it. I And it had to do with death. A couple patients of mine had
Mm,
passed away, and in a way where I was present, and that really
mm,
stayed in
yeah.
me. And one of the this therapist, actually, she pulled me into her office, and she just, gave me tips of how I could handle the situation.
Hmm.
In another one, I had a couple sessions with the chaplain of the hospital as well.
Yeah.
And he was a young guy just as me, I think. Just the fact that he was so passionate about caring about the provider, about not just the family members, but about the provider. The fact that
Mm,
he was so caring about that really made me realize that I really needed that help, and it took me a while to get over it. But
yeah.
I received that support, and I realized that it is so important. And if it's just something as simple as just, grieve, now
Yeah.
imagine for something that it's much bigger. So
Right.
I think that it's very important, that we remove that stigma from ourselves and from other people, and teach, more than anything, just teach people that it's okay to receive the therapy that you need, to go and seek help, because it's for your own good.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Jherlene. I think in the olden days too, just when you had people who lived in villages and different smaller communities, you had people who you could go to and just talk to. It was a
True.
total normal thing to go
Hmm.
and get counsel about any part of life. And I think we're all social beings, and we all need to help each other through. I know in America it's like this individualistic type of mentality where you have to do everything yourself, and you have to have everything together. So just I appreciate that, you sharing that perspective. And you know, going back to the workplace, just want to learn from you. Have you ever experienced any inequality at work because of your ethnic background, or have you ever experienced seeing somebody else experience inequality because of their ethnic background?
um I don't think I have experienced it myself, and if I did, I probably don't remember. If somebody was trying to do something against me,
Hmm.
maybe it was because of the Lord's protection, that either it just went over my head, because a lot of things can go over my head, or it just simply never went through, even if somebody were plotting against me. I know there was an individual, but this individual ended up leaving, and that was that. But because my supervisor was able to champion me and support me, that was great. It really
Mm,
helped a lot.
that's great.
There is this person that I know from where I work at, that is in a management position, or was in a management position. And this person, she was being, they were thinking about giving her another, she was going to acquire another department.
Mm,
She had all the experience. She
mhm,
had, she knew the people that worked in that department.
mm,
She knew how the department ran. So it was gonna fall under her umbrella.
mm,
And but because of the all the years of her experience that she had, and she had the education and everything, she believed that she didn't get the position because there was this other person who they had already thought of that they were going to give to. The person that I'm talking about is Hispanic, and the person that they gave the position to is a white person. Now I'm not going to, no, it's really I really didn't believe that that was the problem. She did
mhm,
believe that it was that, but obviously she has been working for the hospital for so many years that she probably heard rumors, or she knew more than I did. So
mm,
I can't say exactly. I can be absolutely wrong. And I do believe that it could have also been the fact that because of all the years of experience that she has,
Hmm.
that they would have to pay her a good amount of money that they probably weren't willing to pay. So, but as I said, it's hearsay. And at the end, she ended up acquiring other management positions, and so at the end of the day, it ended up working for her. But this one in particular, I believe that it was unequal. It would probably be unequal pay, and it would probably be because of race. It was an issue of race. Now, what I want a disclaimer is that um, these things rarely happen in the hospital that I work at because we are very diverse ethnically. So
Mm, okay.
there is a lot of Hispanics, a lot of white Americans. There
Hmm.
is a lot of Asians. We have Filipinos. We have all the different backgrounds. We have people from Africa. We have people from India. We have people from
Hmm.
Southeast Asia. We have um, Arabs. There is so many from so many different cultures, Jewish, everything you want. It's all there, which is what I love uh, about working there, because you see people from
Nice.
so many different backgrounds, so many religions that they also allow people to observe. So, which is one of the things that I really love the most about that hospital, is that they allow everybody to observe their own fate.
Hmm.
And so that's why it was very hard to hear that something like this was actually happening, or that we believe that this was the reason why this person uh, was didn't get that position.
How can we deal with similar situation if that something like that arises at work? Um, how can we make sure that there's equity there and everybody has a fair chance at changing positions or being promoted?
Well, that's a difficult question because I wouldn't know how to answer. Um, I believe that you should just be honest. I know that sometimes we think that honesty is going to put you in a spot where you are going to be in a disadvantage. But I haven't had nothing but being honest with what I do and how I do things at work when I have been in charge, when my supervisor had to be off because of a surgery that happened out of the blue, things like that. And I've had people from other departments talk to me and ask me questions and tell me what should be done, and I tell them this is how we are going to do it because this is how we do things. So just being honest, I think it could get you in a bad position, but it's there's nothing better than just being yourself and being honest. And I would say that I believe that this is wrong. Whether I be there's going to be a retaliation or not, which there should not be. And then when there is, we're going to take it to the law, because that's where it's that's why it's there. I do believe that some people don't take the time to read their manuals, read what their contract says, and I think it's very important that you need to do that, because none of us do it for the upgrades that we get on our iPhones. We don't read the manuals for the car or for whatever gadget that we bought. But at least we need to do it for work. And I think that the policies and whatever manual that you get and your contract, you have to read it, because that's what's going to tell you how you're going to function. That's what's going to tell you what your rights are. And if you do not know what your rights are, then how are you going to be able to speak for yourself? So I believe that you need to be informed. You need to be informed of everything that is going on around you, in your department, how um, things work. Because sometimes we think that we're going to get in trouble for asking questions. No, you need to ask questions, because
Mm,
that's what other people are looking for. They want to know that you're going to grow, that you're going to make them look good. And I think that once you make your supervisor and other people look good, they're going to want to, to use you, to use your expertise. But also, you need to speak up. which is a thing that was so hard for me to do, Lydia. I'm gonna tell you, be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was so hard for me to do that. It is still hard. I'm not gonna lie, but I think that just being honest and informing yourself is the best thing you can do. And if you get fired or something bad happens, this location was not good for you. It was There's something else waiting for you out there. And I know that because I have experienced that. So I do feel that we need to be informed. We need to educate
Yeah,
ourselves.
absolutely. And can you tell me more about a time when you spoke up and how did you go about speaking up?
Um, there was this one time when we were, it's just because of work. There's a lot of things I can't say, but we were in a meeting. This was very important because this ended up being
Hmm.
something that became legal and it was written in paper, and I
Hmm.
was involved. Not involved as something that happened to me or one of the patients that I had served or anything like that, customers or anything. No. So it happened somewhere else, but we were part of the team that had to get this document in place. So I was part of that team because my supervisor could not be.
Okay.
And she was in an emergency. So I had to participate and I took over. And um, it was hard because I could, these were people that I had never met.
Hmm.
Even my supervisor's supervisor I had not met until that day. So I'm talking about a group of women, and yeah, they were all women that were very intimidating.
Hmm.
And in the intimidating in a not in a way of like they made me feel uncomfortable, no, but because of their position, what they did in the hospital for the
Right.
corporation that I work at. I'm like, I'm just your girl from next door. I'm quote unquote nobody. I'm just one of the mere workers, and now I'm here sitting in a meeting that's very important on a document that it's still being used till this day in a hospital and in
Right.
our corporation. And I was part of it, and I just said, "This is not going." And I had to be honest and said, as an interpreter myself, this is not going to work. We're going to need to change this. We're
Hmm.
going to need to do this. We're going to need to add that. We need to do this. And those were policies that were actually put in place later on. But it's just being part of the decision making was very nerve wracking, in a position where I felt intimidated by others. But I was honest and I said, that's, they would ask me, they would even directly ask me, what do you think? And
Hmm.
I'm just, instead of just being like a deer in headlights, which I was a little bit, but I gained my composure and then I
Hmm.
spoke my truth and was honest.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you being honest, I mean, having that courage to really speak up, I know that that had an impact on a lot of other people who are working in the hospital today. So it's so awesome. And even, when there's any type of inequality at work as well, um, speaking up can help other people at work as well.
Hmm.
I just came across, if you've heard of that movie Bombshell, it's it talks about the female reporters and other roles at Fox News, and it
Oh, I did
was
not see that movie. I think I know someone who did, and they spoke to me about it, but I had not seen the movie.
okay. Yeah, it starts out with this. I haven't seen it myself. I just came across um, some news segment about it, and the lady Gretchen Carlson, she actually spoke up and she recorded conversations, and she got fired, but then she actually um, submitted a lawsuit after that, and that's what stopped everything. It got the ball rolling for all the rest of the female reporters there, and
Wow.
they all began to come forward. And because of that, Roger Ailes, he was one of the most powerful men in media, and he was out as CEO. And just because of what one person had the courage to do, and it's really it is leadership, and it is, kind of being a hero for sure.
Wow.
So yeah, I appreciate that you did that.
Thank you.
And yeah, anything else that you'd like to add?
Hmm. What else do I want to add? I just want to talk about, being confident, because that really is takes a lot in for me, mostly because I'm talking about myself in particular. I don't think I've felt confident ever. And I think that once I started noticing that I had a voice and that I could use it, um I I feel that that is the one thing that is what drives you to do all the other things that you need to do, no matter what it is, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
um Confidence is what, is what's going to drive you, and I think that is one of the many things that can drive you. I think that for me, that's one of the things that I like the most. And not because I had trauma in my life, thank God. I had people that were supporting me this whole time. I still have people that support me. It's not about that. It's just, I don't know why, I just felt like that way. It was me. It wasn't really nobody else that caused me to think that way. And sometimes we need to take that, part of that intrinsic nature that we come with, that we're born with, and just use that. There's so much power in
Mm-hmm.
us given by God, that there's so much in us given by God that we can use. And as I said, as a believer of God, I think that that is one of the things that I lacked, and I was able to, through experience, because as I said, I got burned along the way. um I was able to learn of who I really am, and then with that, you know do everything else that I need to do, and help others and champion others, because don't take and keep the gift for yourself, share it. And so
Yeah,
I think that it's very important to support and, um, help others feel confident about themselves. So I did.
that's
That's
awesome.
the only thing I wanted to add is for people out there to struggles are there for a reason, because they're going to teach you something. And I feel that all my struggles taught me to be more confident.
That's awesome. Well, Jherlene, I've learned so much from you today, so I just want to thank you for sharing and thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this. Thank you, Lydia.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us in the next episode of The Color Within.